Hello everyone, Agnes. I want to start my sermon. My theme is faith is manifested in responsibility. I pick from Matthew 15, verse 21 until 28. Believing Canaanite woman. First, then Jesus went thence and departed into the coasts of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. But Jesus gave him no answer. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she cried after us. Jesus answered, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. But she came and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, It is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs. And she said, True, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then Jesus answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith. Be into the even as thou wilt. And immediately his son was healed. I have some stories from Thomas Chrome, an American Christian religious education expert, said that there are three important elements of faith. The first is namely believing, the second is trusting, and the last is doing. First, faith assumes believing in something that is believed to be true. Believing means trusting God and His word as word in faith. We fully believe that God is all powerful and all loving. Second, faith presupposes submission to what is believed to be true. Trusting means instruction honest of the true figures, in this case Christ. Having faith is not just believing a number of doctrines, but also entrusting oneself to someone you trust, because you are sure that He is able to help us in all things. Third, faith requires action or doing. Having faith means doing what is commanded in that faith. Faith requires action, doing. Having faith means doing what is commanded in that faith, namely that things are right. So faith is not merely belief and trust, but also doing what is believed. These three aspects of faith were evident in the Canaanite woman. And I will explain my text of King Roman. The Pharisees' respect attack on Jesus made him temporarily removed from the Jewish nation. He traveled to Tyre and Sidon, two cities that remained part of Galilee. 3. There Jesus did not teach publish, but his miraculous work were published abroad. That is why the woman of Canaan learned that Jesus is her village. She immediately comes to him for help. Matthew calls her a Canaanite woman. By the term Canaanite woman, Matthew actually emphasizes the difference between the Israelites and the unbelievers around them, which is common in the Old Testament. The woman cried out to Jesus for help because her son was possessed by a demon. That means the woman believes everything she heard about Jesus, that he is Messiah, God of Savior. Therefore, he wanted to trust his son's salvation in Jesus. But Jesus went on as if he did not care. Jesus even said that he was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. Of course, this does not mean that the salvation that Jesus brought is only for the people of Israel. Jesus wanted to say that as long as he lived in this world, he was sent by God only to find the lost sheep of Israel. Later, after his resurrection, he would send his disciples to reach out to the Gentiles. It turned out that the Canaanite woman did not give up. His faith did not weaken. His strong love for his son made him continue to seek Jesus' help. He knelt before Jesus, worshipped him, and asked for help. This action proves that this woman really put full trust in Jesus' help for safety of her child. But Jesus explained that it was not right to take the bread that was prepared for the children and give it to the dog. The mindset of the Jews who divided themselves as children and the infidels as dogs was emphasized by Matthew here. The question arises, is Jesus being a racist? Certainly not. Referring to the Greek usage, the word dog here is kunarion, which is a small dog, a pet at home, not a wild dog, who likes to sneak into other people's house in search of food. Thus, Jesus was not insulting the Canaanite woman. Jesus only wanted to test the woman's faith in him. Did he, as unbeliever, truly believe in the omnipotence and love of Jesus? It is evidence that the Canaanite woman continued to ask for God's help. He said that the dogs also ate the crumbs that fell from the table. Jesus was amazed at the woman's faith, that is, the faith overcame obstacles. Here is apparent that the woman is willing to do anything for the sake of her son's healing. Her faith is seen as an act. This story testified that even though the woman was an unbeliever, she wanted to believe in Jesus as a Savior, then humbled herself, worshipped Him, and begged for His mercy. He believed in the infinite power and love of Jesus. Her strong faith in Jesus as the helper made the Canaanite woman willing to break through the walls, betting herself and Jesus as a Jew. And for her course, Jesus finally healed her daughter, who was possessed by a demon, from a distance. The great faith of this woman made Jesus finally manifest His power and love, which penetrate time and space, tribe and nation. This Canaanite woman became an example of faith. The woman is confident, does not weaken when she does not receive help directly. Even though she went a long time and encountered many obstacles, she continued to try to get help from her son. The woman's aim is the good of her child. In that way, he became an example of responsibility for children. Even though there was a wall separating himself as a Gentile from Jesus, who was a Jew, he broke through that barrier on behalf of his son. He had faith in Jesus, even though he was an infidel, and entrusted his son to Jesus, and was willing to do anything. The last of my text, nobody many parents see strength in taking care of their children. When the children are sick, instead of going into the room and praying earnestly, or taking them to the doctor, they just say their prayers through Facebook or other online media. When children have learning difficulties, not their parents accompany them, but only confided in Facebook or other social media. We find many expressions of prayer and sharing expressed on social media, whether sincerely or just showing off. Faith demands responsibility. This responsibility concerns all aspects of children's life. Humans are complex. They are spiritual, psychological aspects. Parents are responsible for all aspects of their children's needs: physical education, health, moral development, and their faith. This means that every believing parent must really pay attention to all the needs of his children. Parents must pray for their children's life. their studies, their future, their soulmate, but they must also provide for their needs, seek for their nutrition, welfare, education, health, and so on. Consequently, parents must work hard to meet their needs, send them to school, but also must guide them to become children of faith and morals. Today, my parents struggle to provide for their children material needs. Whatever their children needs, it is immediately fulfilled, but they neglect to help the children to know God. Parents no longer have time to pray with their children, read God's word together, or worship together. As a result, children lose faith education in the family. They are seized by the word stroke, the rapid flow of information on online media. Children spend their time playing gadgets, and as a result, their character are shaped by the perspective from social media. Children end up believing more in works and the perfect lifestyle offered by social media. Parents must be aware of this challenge and be willing to try to save their children from the various influence of this world. Learning from the Canaanite woman who is willing to do anything for the healing of her children. Believing parents must work earnestly to help their children from all kinds of influence from a misleading world. Parents must realize that their responsibility in guiding their children to live in God. Parents should have time with their children to pray, God, deepen God's word, and worship, because without serious efforts to bring children close to God, parents can lose them at some point. Of course, we don't want them to leave God, right? May God help us. Amen. Okay, this is my last of my sermon. I will close this sermon by praying, and let us pray. Dear God, thank you for the time given to us. Now I want to close my sharing. I want you to guide us and help us to be children that need you every time in our life, so we can solve our problem with you and work together with you, and we will have future that we need, and we will get our success from you. Thank you, God. We put everything in your hand. And okay, everybody, and miss, thank you for the attention. I say thank you. Good night.